As we're beginning, that the meeting is being recorded by a member of the public. Call this meeting to order. All rise for a pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first point of business will be to appoint a chairperson pro tem and a recording secretary pro tem for the purposes of electing officers for the Township of Maidencreek in 2022. Do I have any motion?
I'll nominate Diane Hollenbach to be the chairperson pro tem and recording secretary pro tem for the purpose of electing officers for this board.
I will second that. All those in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any public comment on anything not on the agenda? All right. I'll take nominations to appoint a chairperson of the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, I want to nominate Heidi Fiddler for chairwoman. Board of Supervisors.
Can we nominate somebody?
No, I'll second that if there's no second.
I would like to make a motion to appoint myself chairperson. We have a second?
All those in favor of Dave Frank? Aye.
All right.
Excuse me. That's out of order.
All right, so Dave, your motion dies for lack of a second. Voting on the first motion for Heidi Fiedler to be chairperson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolve.
Abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay. All right, and then we'll turn the meeting over to Heidi.
I sure do. There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the nomination. Call for nomination of vice chair for the Board of Supervisors. I will nominate Joe Farley for vice chair of the Maidencreek Township Board of Supervisors.
I'll nominate Dave Frank.
And I will second the motion.
Wait, your motion's out of order because we already have a motion on the floor. So there's a motion on the floor to nominate the vice chair. I will second that motion for vice chair.
You made the
Wait,
motion.
you made the motion. Joe has to.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I did second the motion.
For yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So call for the vote for vice chair. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right, next we have positions to be filled by the Board of Supervisors. First position is the Agricultural Security Area Representative. Are there any nominations?
Nominate Heidi Fiedler.
Second.
I second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded to nominate Heidi Fiedler for the Agriculture Security Area Representative. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Next is the Township Roadmaster that is currently vacant. I understand that Mr. Farley is interested in serving as a part-time roadmaster. Do you have another copy of this last?
Yes, I do. Do you have another copy for him? Okay, you can have this copy. Okay. I think the Township Roadmaster position is an important position. It's one that Mr. Frank served in that capacity some years ago. And since Mr. Farley is interested in serving as a part-time roadmaster, I nominate Mr. Farley to be a part-time roadmaster. That would be effective March 1st. Is there a second?
No, I would be March 1st.
That's what he's requested.
Okay, Mr. Farley, you aware that it's not a paid position?
Say it again?
Are you aware it's not a paid position?
I don't believe that's accurate.
No, I'm not aware of that. I don't think it's accurate either.
When I held it, it was.
I believe it's the Board of Auditors, elected auditors, that will decide the rate of pay for.
Are you
Township
seeking it to
employee.
be a paid position?
Well, yes.
Are you willing to second the motion?
Not as a paid position, I'm not, no. It's one we don't have now. And, you know, we are doing quite well, as far as I'm aware. If we wanted to put a supervisor into a position, that's great, but I don't know that it should be a paid position.
All right, well, the motion dies for lack of a second, then we will move on from that agenda, unless you have any other comment.
Well, I have a comment. I thought it would be called a working supervisor. So in other words, you're town supervisor, but you're working supervisor because you're, you know, giving another skill to the township, to help the township out. You know, to further, you know, the good road agenda for the township. I mean, to me, I would be an asset in that position, but it is what it is for now, so.
Have you worked with asphalt at all?
I've been around and seen it, and I, you know, I have pretty good knowledge of it, but I mean, you know, being in trucking, you know, I was able to wait in line for hours and watch what they do, but I mean, no, I was never formally part of any kind of road construction, asphalt, to, you know, logistics of how to do it, but it's something you can learn, I'm sure.
I'm just thinking of the job description and whether you would meet those requirements.
Well, the bottom line is I would have the supervisory leadership skills. I mean, I've supervised people before, and you know, I'm a leader in a lot of ways, you know, and I know that the right thing's got to be done, and I'd be capable of inspecting jobs and making sure that they're doing their job. You know, as well as reporting things I find out. As part of the job, you're supposed to go through the township and find things that need repair or replacement or what have you.
And I think we do that now with our roadmaster.
We don't have a road.
We don't have a road. We don't have a road.
Our road foreman.
Okay, well,
All right, hold on.
Love to.
We'll appreciate the discussion, but if you're not willing to second the motion.
No.
All right, well then, the motion will die for lack of a second.
no problem.
Okay. Next, on the agenda, we have the Northern Berks Regional Police Commissioner, Maidencreek Township. Any nominations?
I make a motion to nominate myself as Northern Berks Regional Police Commissioner.
I have,
Well, we have that on the floor. You're not willing to second that. Are you willing to second that? Okay, well, that motion will die for lack of a second.
Are you kidding?
I ask for another motion for
I-
Northern Berks Regional Police Commissioner.
No. That's why the public's here.
That's why
You
we
represent
can't-
us. And it's the only reason that you have a township police department is Heidi Fiedler. She got rid of Horner, and you have a great department because of her. You don't have to believe it, but I know as a plank holder of that department. If you don't know what a plank holder means,
Okay, all right,
look it
all
up.
right, thank you
And
for
who
the
saved it
comments.
last year?
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
if you would be willing to make a motion.
No, I want to make a motion to appoint Heidi Fiedler on the police commission.
The public
She's
does not
Northern Berks
agree.
Regional Police.
All right,
No.
and I
Doesn't
will
matter.
second that.
No.
Can we comment on any of
You
this?
can go ahead and comment. You will have 3 minutes.
Okay,
Well,
Scott
I'll take
Egan
it
from
well,
Burke
let me
Road.
just say for a minute. I'm going to take it row by row for public comment.
Okay.
So we'll take it from the first row if anybody has any comment there. Okay. And we'll go to the second row. You can go to, okay, Mr. Egan.
Scott Egan from Burke Road. In light of what all three municipalities just went through recently with the police department and the turnaround that has occurred that resulted in keeping the police department together, that was all done by Dave. or votes that happened here that we couldn't see in executive session. I don't know what the number was in the vote. I can assume what the number was in the vote in your executive sessions. But there was obviously the need to be able to get along with the other municipalities that was not being accomplished at the time when you were the vocal voice of the Maidencreek Township supervisors. Once Dave jumped into that position and took over, that is when things resulted in the police department remaining together, and I'd like to see that continue.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else in the second row? Third row? Fourth row?
You want to go first, Eric?
No, go ahead.
My name is Jamie Killick. I am from Troxel Road. I agree completely with what the former chief just said. Heidi, you know, as well as all of us here, what a disturbance you were in the commissioner position. Please don't put us all through that again. You know that it's just trouble waiting to brew. And the smirk on your face tells us that you are just waiting to get back in
I
there.
will answer, I will address the issues you're bringing up, so go ahead and finish.
We're asking that you not take that position and Dave remain in it. As a public here, I'm sure everybody here would take a public vote except for your boyfriend to not have you as the commissioner, the representative of us.
All right, well, to address what you brought up here, I think it's important. First of all, there's a lot that went on in this Northern Versa Police Commission that never made it to public meetings. We had a lot of complaints against the former police chief. One resulted in an internal affairs investigation that I called for because his conduct on duty was horrendous and unprofessional and intolerable. So that's why I called for an internal affairs investigation that the other two commissioners actually voted for, who served on this commission. And that resulted in a number of findings of misconduct by 3 members of that department, of this Northern Versa Police Department. So while you think my service was not valuable, I actually disagree with you, and the record will hold otherwise. We had a police chief that conducted himself terribly. He was very combative, unprofessional, and there's some other words that people can use, but I won't go there. And as a result of that, we have a much better department. We have a new police chief. We have a member of this commission that was supposed to step down last year that he didn't do. There was an agreement reached with 3 municipalities, and Maidencreek Township was unanimous in that decision, both on the board level and on the commission level, to remove Brian Horner as the police chief. He was the result of the problems within this department. Any number of police officers would be able to tell you that, who have served in this department during that time period. Based on that, I'm very proud to be able to serve the police commission again because I do represent the people in this township, and I do so very willingly and with the ability to put a lot of time into it. So, is there any other comments?
Eric Bauman, 208 Wells Way. Mr. Farley,
Yeah,
you claim to be a big supporter of law enforcement in our police department.
darn right I am.
Have you spoken to any of our police officers?
On many occasions, I've gone down to Northern Berks Regional Police countless times, picked up their signs, distributed them all over the township.
Good.
Everywhere, on corners everywhere.
And they told you they would be very interested in Heidi being the new commissioner?
No, we never discussed anything like that.
Okay, you might want to ask the
Eric,
police
I had no-
officers.
I had no background
This is
on
just,
that.
this is important, this is just public comment. This is not a dialogue that you're gonna question us. You have the ability to make a statement and address the board, okay?
Those in attendance here, who would like to see Dave Frank remain?
That's irrelevant.
Nay.
Okay,
Nay.
all right. Again, this is public.
You're from Delaware, you're
I'm a
from Senate
plank
Township.
plank holder in this police department. I don't want to hear anything from you.
I'm a taxpayer.
Moving on to the next
so you do live there.
person. Go ahead, please.
My name's Donna Frank, I live on Washington Drive. I want to say that I agree with the other people that have actually voted to keep Dave Frank as a police commission. He has done invaluable service to make sure we maintain it. I do not personally want to go back to 2020. I don't want to repeat that. I don't want to repeat it for the officers either. And you see all these other people that are standing here and saying, yes, they put their hands up, Dave Frank on the commission, not you.
All right, any other comment? Last row, yes, go ahead, sir.
Sergeant Dave Reichland, retired from Northern Berks Police Department. You show your ignorance when you laugh. I'm a flank holder in that police department. In other words, I was there when we named it, when we did the patch, when we ran the computer, and we did everything else. Had a lot of time there and a lot of investment in there. The only thing I care about isn't Heidi Fiedler, isn't you. It's the men, Mark de Blasi and all the rest of them. She saved those men almost single-handedly from Brian Horner. She saved the police department because Horner would still be there. It wasn't Dave Frank come in and now you don't have any trouble. You got a decent chief who Heidi also wanted. If you don't know, just investigate. She's the reason you have a good police department. Her. And that Horner was a mess. She took care of him when everybody else wanted him, but she saw it. He's gone. You have a great chief in Kaiser. She's going to support the police department. Simple as that. And I like Dave Frank. No problem with Dave Frank. But Heidi was the one with her mouth open. She was the one that took care of business to keep this police department together, to hire a good chief. Heidi Fiedler. Plain and simple. If it wasn't true, I have no horse in this game except for the men. And I take a bullet for any of them.
That's why we want Dave Frank.
Well, I think you're wrong, so.
We pay
I
taxes
think you're
here.
wrong.
I don't
So
care.
they are to represent us.
All right.
No.
They work for
No,
us.
they're not
All right,
elected
is
to
there
represent
any
us.
other-
Wow.
When's that
Any other
happen?
comment from the back? All right. If you have-
Yeah, I'm not in the last row, but
All right.
I want to thank Mr. Frank for what the job he did when you brought in the new chief. But the point is, we now have a new chief. We don't have the situation that was here before. With a new chief, I don't think you can compare the situation when she was the chairperson before and the situation now with a new chief. I'm surprised that some of this is being done in an open session. I thought a lot of this you guys discussed in executive session. Because this is not our purpose to tell them who they should appoint to the different positions.
Yeah, they represent us.
Yeah, we voted them to
Well,
represent us.
yeah, they do represent us, and that's why we had an election in November. That's when we took care of that. Now they represent us.
Amen.
All right, thank you for your comment. All right. If you didn't have a chance to speak, you'll have, go ahead.
Marlene Byros in Ponderosa Drive, and I honestly believe Dave Frank knows a whole heck of a lot more about policing than the other two commissioners. He's been through it most of his life. He knows how to deal with people as a chief in several different areas, and I think he would be the best representative of our people in Maidencreek Township.
All right, thank you. Any other comment? You don't have if you want to say something.
Yeah, well, listen, I want to make a motion to everybody in this room to 110% support our police as a community, no matter what. We don't need to quarrel. When you look at what the hell is going on through this country where they wanted to fund the police and destroy police departments and cave into the antics, some of the antics of the left and groups like Antifa and BLM, I think everybody just needs to stick together and support our police no matter what. We need to be organized behind our police. I met Jim Kaiser. I spoke with him, and I think the new chief, Jim Kaiser, is gonna end up being a great police chief. He's on our side 100%. We need to stick together and support our police and stop the bickering. And I don't care who's supervisor, who's on the commission. All we need to do is support our police. Period. Period. And they deserve a good salary, and they deserve the right equipment, and we need a sufficient police force, you know. So, bottom line.
But can Heidi do that?
All right. Okay, well, thank you. All right, so that's the end of the discussion. So the motion's been made and seconded to nominate Heidi Fiedler to the Northern Berks Regional Police Commission. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 2-1. Next, we have a Northern Berks Regional Police Commissioner alternate. I will nominate Mr. Farley for the position of alternate.
No.
Berks. And your second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All right, well, since there seems to be discussion on that position too, anybody in the first row? Second row? Third? Fourth, ma'am.
I'm sitting here, and I'm just beginning to wonder, and this is just a general observation, I see 2-to-1 in everything.
Yep.
Yes.
And you
So
will
I have
from
a
now
major
on.
concern as a taxpayer. No matter what is going to be said, it's always going to be 2-to-1. That's an observation. So the two of you are having discussions apparently before the meeting?
Go ahead and make your comment. We'll address what your concerns are in a minute.
You know, again, like we said, who has the most experience as a police officer and would support the police officers just by knowledge? Have either of you walked in the shoes of an officer? Have you put on the uniform? Have you put your life on line? And the answer is no.
Ma'am.
You're going to say, I've seen a police car.
No, ma'am.
I've seen a road.
Ma'am.
This is
If I could-
ridiculous.
All
This is
right,
a
we'll
joke.
just hold on a minute. It may be an observation that you have there. However, when you have a three-member board, there are a lot of times when votes are 2-to-1. And to address your issue, I did serve 2 years on the police commission, and I did support our officers.
But you didn't put your
No,
uniform
just
on.
let me finish here. You had a comment, now I have a comment. So I do support our police officers 100%. I support, all right, enough of the commentary. And I believe that we should treat people honestly and fairly. Whether you agree with that or not, that is my position. That will continue to be my position. That's why you have the ability to speak today. Another comment in the back there.
I don't like seeing.
Wait, we weren't done with this row.
Well, I already called on him. We'll get to you next.
Oh, well, go to your boyfriend.
You know what? Commentary is not helpful here.
Well, you don't listen to anything anyway, so it doesn't
No,
matter. Go
excuse
ahead.
me, I've called on everybody who's raised their hand. You will be next after Mr. Reichman.
Retired Sergeant Reichman again. I like seeing things spread up a little bit. I don't like seeing two people run the show. I watched two people run the show in Northern Berks Regional Police Commission when the Onalani supervisor and the mayor of Leesport, who couldn't hear and didn't know what was going on, was just nudged for a second. She couldn't get anything done for 2 years when Horner was the problem, when the people were filing grievances, when that police department was falling apart because of the administration. She sat there for 2 years, not being able to get anything at all done, but she persevered. She knows what that's like. And I, for one, I'd be here bitching if I saw something like that happening again. People need to spread out responsibility. It's not a little club. But she did it she had to do it for 2 years, fighting the corruption and the cancer in the Northern Berks Police Department. For the men that you care so much about, she stood up and put up with it. She did. I watched it. She was abused in every meeting.
All right, go ahead next.
So I won't disagree with Onalani being in the little two-pack that they had, but that's what I see happening right here. Right here, right now, with Farley and Fiedler. That's what I see happening right now. What I want to know is, Diane's done a great job. Why would she not be renominated for this? What is the reason that Diane cannot hold that? Because again, I see this little two-pack happening, and I feel like it's the same thing that happened at the township, the commissioner meetings between Onalani and Leesport. You guys are not looking so great in this 2-to-1 and against Dave and everything that we're voting on today. So I'm not really sure what you two have going on, but it's looking really bad. But what I want to know is, my 3 minutes aren't up yet.
No, we'll address you. Just go
What I
ahead.
want to know is, what has Diane done that hasn't been sufficient that you feel that Farley is going to now do better? Because I think she's done a great job. And based on what he has said earlier today, I have my concerns. He thinks because he's been a manager, I'm a manager of a bank. I certainly, just because I drove on asphalt, don't think I can manage a crew who does that. So I'm concerned about his position and what he wants to do, because I think Diane's done a great job.
Okay, well, thank you for that comment. So just to let you know, it's been the practice of this board for probably the last 20 years, Mr. Rotaro sitting in the back, where we've made it a point of having supervisors serve on the Northern Berks Police Commission, both as commissioner and as alternate. That has been the practice for, correct me if I'm wrong, probably going on 20 years. Mr. Rotaro served on the commission, Claude Beaver served on the commission and alternated between commissioner and alternate.
I've served on the commission. It's when there's been supervisors who have not been able to serve